Hey guys, when'd you all get here? I tell you what, today we're going to do a great project. Have you thought about installing pavers? Well, today's video, we're going to go over all the things you need to do to put in a great paver project. I tell you what, have you guys ever thought about how to cut a paver and how you're going to encase those pavers? Great design to where you will be the envy of the neighborhood. It all starts with foundations. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that's where I start. Foundations, foundations, foundations. We've got to get a good one. Today we're going to cover the way to do it and how to ensure that we get the perfect base for your next paver job. This is just an example. If we don't get it compacted properly, nothing good is going to happen. So whatever we're talking about compaction, we're going to use a SP2 gravel undisturbed soil. So basically when we get started, you're going to do your dirt work, you're going to get that all set to grade. You're going to grade it down, you're going to compact it. These 2 or 3 different lifts of your gravel with a plate compactor to make sure that you've got it down smooth. Now you could do a plate compactor or a pogo stick packer. It's just whatever you've got available to do. And let's walk behind that we can compact the gravel. That's all we really need to do on there is just get that gravel compacted. Then we come back with a layer of sand. Now, one thing that I do, you want sand, you can use, I always use masonry sand if I do it. You could use river sand that has a little bit more gravel in it, or another product that I use a lot is rock dust. And rock dust really sets up nice, it packs, it screeds easy, so it really works out great for pavers. I set my grades to where I want, and these pictures right here, you'll see where I've got that set up. I take a board and I dog ear the board edge, so by screeding you can get that exactly level and it'll really do a great job. So I'll take that, I pull the board back with me, I screed it down, makes it exactly level, and you can set to your grade. Now, one thing you might want to do after that point is come back and do a light pack after that, and then screed one more time, and that'll ensure that you have everything good and packed. I always set my edging a little off so you'll have good water drainage. So I always pick one side or the other, just a little higher on one side. That will allow that water to break off your sidewalk, especially it'll help it during the winter and all that. In big rains, you don't want any puddles. So if you ever do have a little pocket or a puddle in it, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world to go in there to get that cleaned up. So basically always go in there, set your grade a little off, and just have a little bit of a slope to it. You'll thank me later. That's just one nice easy, and then even in the heaviest rains, if it's sloped, it'll bead off and you'll have a lot drier sidewalk. Just one of those little things that I always do to make sure, try to have a good product. Tell you what, before I get into the next section of this, if you guys wouldn't mind taking a second, like, subscribe, I sure would appreciate it. All right, let's get into this right here. It's a plastic L-shaped edging, and so essentially what you do is you set that in, you run it down, and you stake the outside of it. That will make sure that you've got your shape and it gives you a nice formation. What I've always done in the past is I use metal edging. I use 4-inch metal edging, and then I weld mine together, and then I drive it down and I weld that, and I weld my pieces together. And then I ensure, and I drive pretty good stakes, you know, about a 24-inch stake down in there, and it's metal, and I can set my grades exactly what I want. The reason I set my stakes, if it's a little too, let's say that the grade's off just a little bit, I can go in there, set my metal, get it exactly the way I want it, and then build up to it, and then I know exactly where I need to be. And so it just kind of gives me a little bit of a buffer, I'd say, that where I can get this exactly to where I want it. Works out great. Now, one other thing you want to do on any edge of your sidewalks, if you use sand or anything, rock dust or anything underneath the rock, on top of your gravel for your screeds, you need to make sure that you keep some type of solid border to keep that from washing out. Because what will happen is if you have that metal not set up properly, it can come in there and wash out at the bottom, then your pavers are going to sink. So the whole key is to make sure that you keep this pavers exactly tight and sealed up. If you keep them sealed up with no escapes or anything, you know, no water can get underneath it, wash out of it, these things will last a lifetime and they will not have any issues. So just always make sure that you've got some type of edging on the side, or even come back and compact soil or anything on the edge. So sometimes what I'll do is if I'm putting in topsoil on the sides, I will come back in and pack the entire edge of that and just like I did those wide sidewalks. And I'll pack the wall on the side just to ensure that nothing moves, because that is the whole key to a paver, to keep it situated, is to keep it tight in there. Now, one other thing that I do on this is I cut a board. So I will lay my pavers out, whatever width I'm going to be, and I get exactly the width that I need on those pavers, cut a board to that exact width. And then what you do is you take that board and you run it along. As you're running your edging, you set that across wherever it needs to go to get your shape. So you set one side exactly how you want the shape, you get it the way you want it, then set your board in and start setting your metal to that edge, and that'll ensure that those pavers will go fit in tight. So now, one thing, nice thing about pavers is you don't have to go in and do any type of straight. If you need to cut, there's 2 or 3 different ways you can cut a paver. One, you can go in with a chisel like this. By striking it in 2 or 3 different spots, you can get it fairly good to where it's 90%, and then you fill that little gap of sand going down the road. The other way, and what I normally do, there's 2 ways to cut. One way, you can actually cut with a chop saw, which I'll show you here in a minute. I use a chop saw a lot, and the way I do it is whenever you come in here and you lay those bricks, you get them all set up, just chalk you a little line. I always mark the bottom. So I laid all my pavers out, and I lay up to the edge, and then whatever's hanging over, I'll mark that brick from the bottom with a pencil. And then I always know that I've got to go in a 1/4 inch or whatever that metal is and cut it off, do it that. Or you can use a chop saw. And I'll show you, I've got a big brick saw that I use too, which works out great. If you have a bunch of curves and a bunch of cuts, a good brick saw will definitely help you out of that. But either way, it works really well. Now, then there's one third way that I don't know if you can rent these. I've got one, but I don't know if you can rent these. It's actually a brick, it's a block buster is what it is. So essentially it splits blocks, like retaining wall blocks. You can split those in half. Well, you can also do that with pavers. And it gives you a rough edge, which on a staircase, things like that, sometimes that's a nice look. But most times you want to keep it smooth, just so it fits tight and all that. So now, let's say that you get cut your brick off a little off on your edgings, just a little off. Don't sweat it. Whenever you put your sand in there, pack it down, put your sand, it'll be fine. You can hide a 1/4 inch or even better in your bricks with a little bit of sand, rock dust, whatever you choose to use, and it's not an issue. Last step you've got to do is to put your sand. You've got to put the sand on top of your pavers. Sweep it in really well, and then pack it. If you're using rock dust, do the same thing. Go in with rock dust, sweep it over the top of it, and give yourself a little graze on top. Don't need it real thick. You just want a little dust on top. You just need a little dust on top of those bricks. Then come in with your packer and actually pack the top of your pavers. And that will settle them in, and it'll also jiggle everything in to whenever you have your dust on top, or the sand, whatever you choose to use on top of your bricks, it'll jiggle it down in there and get those bricks set. And I mean, then you've got it tight. Then come in, broom it all the excess off, clean it up, wash it off, and you'll have you a nice project. So remember, make sure you get your base set properly, then do your gravel, your sand, and all that. Now, if you're around a pool or anything like that, which we do a lot around pools with pavers, use the polymetic sand, and that will definitely help your results. And you can do that in any part. I mean, if you really want to be particular and make it a nice sidewalk and not have to mess with it, and you can afford it, because it's pretty pricey, but it does a great job. And I've got some things that I've done 2 or 3 years ago that's just holding up fine. I've got some 10 years that's done really well. I hope this helps. Hope we've learned something. And I'll tell you what, guys, I sure appreciate you. And until next time, you have a great week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate it.